of things on our item today. We'll be taking a look at entrepreneurship in the Nigerian women. We'll also be looking at strategic opportunities for women entrepreneurs. There's going to be a panel with distinguished ladies who will be sharing some of their thoughts on issues concerning entrepreneurship and the new Nigerian woman. So it is in your interest as well to make sure you stay. It is going to be a healthy evening with information that you definitely can't miss.
Unemployment is the #1 problem in Nigeria. And we realize that the Nigerian corporate community, if you will, is not creating enough jobs for our young people. And so where we experience in Nigeria terrorism, which all of us seem to experience in the north, here in the western part of Nigeria we experience ritual murders, armed robbery. In the east, there's a tremendous amount of kidnapping going on. That is all as a result of youth unemployment. And so we decided that it is not only the government's responsibility to tackle these issues. The responsibility belongs to all of us. And so Empower Nigeria discovered that there are 3 major areas that we need support. One is access to finance. And so we started looking at partnering with financial institutions that could help young people or older people who needed to start business. So the time is now for entrepreneurs to take the bull by the horn. That's why we launched the Masterclass series. And so today, we're taking it a step further with the Island Tea Party for Women Entrepreneurs. Why call it a tea party? And what we said is that you can't call women to a meeting just like everybody else calls them. Women like to drink tea, they like to chat over tea. Anybody who has watched EbonyLife will see that they always have a teacup in front of them when they're talking, right? So we said, we have to be innovative. If you're going to call women to a meeting, it has to be different. So it's not just about meeting, talking, there has to be some fun element to it. So we call it Island Tea Party for Women Entrepreneurs. And we're going to do it.
You know, more I talk about it. What we've done in Nigeria is unbelievable. You understand? Every night, I leave my TV on your station. So when I wake up, I see your station and I say, that is my girl, that's a Nigerian woman. It's so difficult. It's not easy, you know. And they do these things looking so calm and nice. I am 2 people. You know, what you're seeing here is not what I am. Because I don't do business. I have a business. The people run the business for me. So I used to be an entrepreneur. And because I'm not going to take your exam, but I just tell you a little bit about that because you have to start from somewhere. You know, but I started with that until I went into this mad world of politics. If you saw me 3 days ago, you will not think it's the same person. You know, but for you to succeed there, you have to be that way. Otherwise, they intimidate you and throw you out. However, I want to come back to Nicholas. I heard him, and I heard all his words of encouragement. The only aspect that I disagree a bit with him is that saying that men should go, women should take over. No, men should not go. Nicholas, let the men stay with us and let's complement each other. Because if you say men should go, then it is a defeatist attitude. I am a Calabar woman, and my mother was a journalist, one of the first 2 female journalists that Nigeria produced. A journalist, an entrepreneur, with a civil servant husband that didn't have much money, if he had at all. And I was her only daughter till about 10 years before my brother came. And what I remember my mother kept putting into my head is that, which is typical of the Calabar woman, is that you have to grow up retaining your femininity. The Calabar child is brought up to be a good wife and a successful entrepreneur. Because where we come from, the women work hard and the men don't work. I'm not being derogatory on the Calabar men, in case you have one as your husband and boyfriend. So you don't go home and say, okay, I will not stay with you again. If I marry you, it's not my head for the rest of my life. But that's the kind of upbringing, you are brought up to be, a very, very nice wife and also a good entrepreneur and a good professional. Mommy used to tell me that you can be a president of a country, but when you finish downstairs and go upstairs, you go back and be a man. The woman of the house. That way you complement each other. So you must, and in retrospect, I believe that it is defeatist for a woman to say, let the men go and, let's take over. Don't take over. Stay there and let all of us work together.
I think that's something that we all need to look at as well, that when you're trying to set up a business, and what sort of climate is the country going through? What's happening in the country at this point in time? I couldn't set up the business, so I thought, what do I do next? My husband said at the time, why don't you get a job? So a friend of his was then working at Arthur Anderson, and then Esso Exploration, which is now ExxonMobil, was recruiting for a head of HR. And I went out and I went, for loads and loads of interviews, and eventually got this job working with ExxonMobil as head of HR and admin. Great job, my first major job in Nigeria at the time. And I did this job for about nearly 8-9 years, and then I decided that I wanted to leave the oil and gas industry, which is an actual crime. You don't get a job in an oil and gas company and leave. So I then went to my MD and said, I want to resign. And everybody around was, you want to leave this well-paid job? And I said, yes, there was something burning in my gut that I felt was important for me to go out there and do. And for me, it was about setting up my own HR practice, a consultancy firm. So I took the leap of faith and I left. And I thought, wow. The first thing I did was to get a small office on Okwaro Street. I had enough money. I didn't get a lot of money like you did because I'd only been there for about 9 years. Yes, the thing that I actually did before I left ExxonMobil was that one thing working with oil and gas companies, you must always sign a disclosure with them. So I signed a disclosure because I set up a company prior to leaving. But the only thing I couldn't do was provide service to the company that I was working with. So I was already in that industry of HR consulting, and in that time, there weren't many consulting practices around. The only competitor I had at the time was actually Philips Consulting. So we were the only other major consulting firm at the time doing recruitment and doing training and all of that. So I thought I'd had 1 or 2 briefs, and I was comfortable enough to say, okay, I want to leave and take my chances. So I had enough money put by to open an office, which was about all I had at the time. But what I did with running this HR consulting practice was that I found a partner in the UK called the CIPD, the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development. And they were organizing training courses in the field of HR. Now, nobody in Nigeria was looking at HR practice or training at this point in time. So I had something unique to offer to all the big banks and to all the oil and gas companies. And all I did was I put together a beautiful presentation and proposal, went out and sold it to all the various banks and the oil and gas companies that could afford my service, because not everybody could. And any time that they would agree to say, okay, we want to run this in-house training program for 20 of our HR practitioners, I would simply contact the UK office. The UK office would send me the personnel, send me the training material, and I was simply becoming a middleman. So let's say, for example, I went to Shell, and Shell would say, and Shell was actually a good client of mine. And if I said, if it was going to cost me, let's say $5 from the UK, I would simply charge Shell $10. And that's basically how I made my margin. And I did that for the longest of time.
Now guys, just a reminder that you can check out our social media platforms for anything you might have missed on the show. Remember that you can go on our website www.EbonyLifeTV.com to catch up with recaps of previous news editions. Guys, it's time to go on a quick break, but I will be right back. Don't go anywhere.